Hey everybody, it's Stitch 1993 back again with another toy hunting video. And today we're back in Georgia, Newnan, Georgia to be precise, looking at Full Circle Games, located, I believe this is like considered downtown Newnan. I'm not from that area and I don't visit this location often, or at least as often as I probably will in the future, because this store is pretty unique in regards to its toys and just the overall just amount of stuff that they have in there. I've gone to it a few times in the past. Their stock doesn't rotate as much as some previous toy stores that I've gone to and that I've done videos on. So some of the stuff that's been here, and you'll see in the video, has been here for a couple years. I first visited this place, I want to say back in like 2022, and yeah, probably have only visited a handful of times. And of course, as you see, the first thing that always pops out is these window displays. This is on like a downtown street area, so they got these wonderful large window displays, and of course they show off some toys there. And right inside you've got all these awesome antique, or I guess retro vintage robot toys. Right down the bottom, I think one of them is remote controlled, looks like, and the other one I believe is battery powered. I've seen the one on the left a couple places. I've never seen the one on the right, that Casey one there. We also have a nice array of the I believe these are like the 2000s or 2010s versions of the Gargoyle toys. We got some McDonald Tamagotchis up there, and yeah, just overall great place. They also have comic books, and later on they also have video games too. So yeah, starting with the right hand side of the store, you got comics. I believe these are all new stock or newish stock. The further back we go, is where I believe some of the more older stock is. The first thing that caught my eye here today was this Holiday Inn Little People set. I believe this is from the 60s, possibly 70s. It looked almost complete. I didn't even check the price, but it was just probably on my price range anyway. But overall, great. Of course, we got some others, small toys here and there. There isn't really a rhyme or reason to the place for the most part. There is some stuff that is categorized, like this whole section right here is just Disney stuff, and as we continue down this row, it'll be mostly the stuff from the 70s and 80s, and then we got a shelf for Barbies, Legos, but some of the stuff is kind of just strewn about the place. So anytime you go there, always just check every little nook and cranny, because you never know what you can find. As I said, they got some really unique stuff there. Second thing that caught my eyes was these Thundercat figures. These were, I believe, like the 6-inch or 5-inch line of figures. I didn't collect those. I have most of like the 3.5 or 3¼ inch line. I believe I'm only missing 2 figures and 2 vehicles to complete that set. Unfortunately didn't have any. So I've never been a big Masters of the Universe person collecting wise, but they had some pretty nice pieces there that I just don't see in the wild. And of course we got some more of the 60s and 70s stuff, including this Land of the Giants something. Looked like it may be for a ship. That Flintstones toy was cool, because I remember seeing him Boomerang. Had some Advanced Dungeons and Dragons figures here, some Big Jim, some more Disney, and as we get on, we got some Indiana Jones here, more Disney with a little Mikey blush. And yeah, so I'm not going to say everything that I see in this video, so just kind of sit back and relax, and I'll point out some interesting things that I found. That Kitty Comedy Theater, I believe I've seen that in like a Sears like wish book that my parents had, and yeah, I saw that Legend of Zelda board game. It was a bit out of my price range. The nice thing is about this place is they will say on the stickers if it's missing any pieces. So it looks like they re-shrink wrapped it, but they did put a sticker saying it was missing like 2 pieces and 1 playing card or something like that. So that was nice. It looks like they just made a shrink wrapped it to protect it. This, I believe this is Migo? Wizard of Oz Emerald City playset was really cool. So it had that was complete in box, but as you see up top there, it had all the other figures in bags. So I think you could buy it all in one big bundle there. I always love seeing more committee stuff. I enjoy that show, and it's just kind of interesting seeing those toys out there in the wild. And we got some Evel Knievel stuff, and we're getting into the TMNT stuff. They didn't have any of the figures that I'm looking out for. I do collect some TMNT stuff, mainly I want to say it's the 2010 or 2011 series, the first Nickelodeon CGI show after the 2003 version had ended. I am missing most of the later waves, like from like 2014, 2015 through the end of the line. I had a look at the rollerblades because I've never seen TMNT rollerblades before, or I guess roller skates. But those are always interesting. I just, yeah. Let's see here. We're going to get down to the interesting part. Like all my videos, I'm voicing over this, so I've seen this video before, and I remember what I saw there. And it has some Fall Guy stickers. For those who don't know, the most recent movie that just came out is based on a TV series. There it is, those black hole figures still in the box. I don't think they're punched, and the only one at like $40 for them a piece, which is not bad for black hole figures. Black Hole is one of my favorite Disney movies of all time, and it's nice to see stuff like that out in the wild. It was in my budget, and it was in my maybe pile, but as you'll see, there was some stuff that definitely took a higher priority as we get to them. The reason why I was looking at that Street Sharks figure is because I thought for a second it was one of the newer ones, but I was like, wait, this figure for the new line hasn't come out yet. And I realized, oh, it's the original. But I must say, I've seen the new ones in the wild, and wow, they really just did the new boxes the same way as the originals there. So that's why it was kind of hard for me to tell them apart, which might be kind of a weird thing for collectors later on. Of course, more He-Man stuff. I kind of gloss over some of the toys that I don't really collect, but if you ever see anything that interests you, let me know, and I'll make sure to slow down a bit so you guys can get a better look at it. On this table right here, on one side it had some board games and Care Bear stuff, and later on we'll see on the other side it has Strawberry Shortcake and Hello Kitty and My Little Pony. You don't see Raggedy Ann and Andy stuff anymore. Or, I mean, you do, but just not as often. They used to be all over the place. Flipper puzzle. Alright, so the water gun that squirts jelly or jam, I've seen that plush before, but I've never seen it that big. I was kind of astonished how big that thing was. We just went past some Topo Gio little toys there, and this is Georgia, so you are going to see a bunch of Coca-Cola products. Over in this section, I think is where they have like either overstock or stuff they just have not put out on the shelves yet, so it's kind of covered by a blanket. So I was trying to peek and see what they had. It looked like mostly Star Wars stuff, which probably why that's probably more overstock, because as you'll see in a bit, this place has a lot of Star Wars stuff, probably even more than the Toy Federation place had in Greer or Greenville. Yeah, now we're on to the Barbie aisle, and they had Barbies from, I want to say, starting from the 80s going into recent. Of course, I had to check out the Teddy Ruxpin stuff. They did have some books with the tape cassettes. You usually don't see the tape cassettes. As you'll see, yeah, you see the books there, but usually don't have the cassettes with them. I still need to pick up both a Teddy and a Grubby. They wanted a bit much for the Grubby. I've seen Grubby much cheaper, but I was just like, I just wasn't in the mood to buy a Teddy Ruxpin that day, and I kind of want to find one if I can and at a good price, like in the box. Like, of course I'm going to take it out of the box, but it would be nice to have them in the box, you know, in that condition there. I know he's, you know, some people think he's creepy, but I really like animatronics, and he is an animatronic that works really well and was really popular and did really well. Yeah, that Batgirl Barbie looked pretty cool. That's why I checked it out a bit closer. But going back to Teddy Ruxpin, he's just always, you know, caught my attention, even when he wasn't, you know, the thing, because I grew up in the 90s. We didn't really have Teddy Ruxpin, or if we did, I didn't see him in stores. But this is where all my money went. Yeah, they had a bunch of Toy Story stuff there, which I've never, you know, in most toy stores nowadays, you just don't see that much Toy Story stuff. And they had the I want to say Weird Al, it's not Weird Al, Al's Toy Barn, which I've done a review of. I own the Al's Toy Barn, but I just own the regular one. This is the deluxe playset that has the extra characters like that Silver Buzz and Barbie and Ham and Rex that don't come with the regular set there. It was out of my price range, and I was like, I kind of already have this, and you can get those figures separately, so I was kind of wanting just to get the pack with them in there. That Buzz had an interesting helmet, the green helmet. I think that's a Spanish Buzz right there based on his face. But they had a good bit of Woodies. They had I forget his name, but they had the smaller version of that guy there. I want to get the big, like 12-inch version of him. He's kind of expensive. And of course, I found a potato head. First potato head that I found. They actually had, as you'll see right here, they had 2 Woody potato heads. So what I was trying to figure out is which one was the most complete out of the 2 of them. And you'll see, you know, at the end of this video, I'll show what all I got, and I'll explain how one was more complete than the other. Yeah, there's a little comparison there. You can kind of figure it out already. And then they had a Buster there. And you never see Buzz Lightyear of Star Command toys, like, ever. Just because that show ran for not such a long period of time, and they made only so few toys of it. So, continuing on with the store, we've got our first kind of hodgepodge aisle. So there's like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer stuff at the top there, and at the bottom we've got like Gone with the Wind and Cabbage Patch Dolls. And if you wonder why like most stores in Georgia have Gone with the Wind stuff, that's because the writer of Gone with the Wind, it was like raised and born here, and like the story is based here in Georgia. So you'll most likely see in any antique or toy store at least one Gone with the Wind toy or piece of memorabilia. So yeah, they had Garbage Patch Kids, and they had these, I totally forgot about these, but I do remember seeing them growing up, Coca-Cola Kids and a Teletubby. But I was more intrigued in the Coca-Cola Kids just because it's been so long since I've seen those. Yeah, good Pez selection there. More Wizard of Oz stuff. I guess somebody had just kind of given a bunch of Wizard of Oz stuff, because this is not the last Wizard of Oz stuff that we'll see here today. More Hello Kitty stuff. I think we go into the Monster High and the Ever After series. Yeah, Bratz, what have you. I had to go back because I just noticed this thing. Glamour Gals, I think that's what it's called. Ocean Queen. Good lord, that thing was huge. That's like fit for Barbies, but it's a cruise ship. I mean, and it was in the box, and I think it was like being held up by strings to keep it, you know, from toppling over. It was huge. Even if I was collecting that stuff, I wouldn't have room for it, nor know where I would put it. You got your American Girls. And I forgot to mention earlier, but they do have some like new stock stuff, mostly from, I think it's Big Bad Toys or whatever that company is called. Kids Next Door. I'm sorry, I gotta stop for a second. Kids Next Door. That's so cool. I've never seen Kids Next Door toys ever. I didn't even know they made Kids Next Door toys, and that was a big show for me growing up. I totally would have gotten K&D toys if I'd seen them. So I took a real interest in this one Fisher-Price toy. Here it's 3 Men in a Tub. I don't collect Fisher-Price toys that much, but it was complete in box, like almost never opened, but I didn't see a price tag on it, and I've always kind of figured if you don't see a price tag on it, probably just, unless you just have money to spend, probably don't ask. But it was cool to see that, you know, complete, basically mint condition there. A lot of Fisher-Price little people. Even like these little like packages of them. I didn't know they sold packages of them. There wasn't really much in the plushie section. Usually there never is, at least for me. It's usually just, you know, stuff from PBS and the occasional Beanie Baby. They had some Flubber posters right there. I don't know if you could see them really good, but I was almost asked about them, but I didn't. And then we get into the wrestling / G.I. Joe aisle. I know very little about wrestling. I don't collect it. I never watched it. I know some of the characters, like Hulk Hogan, and that's as far as my knowledge goes. And then G.I. Joe, it's even more limited because, like, I grew up when G.I. Joe was not that popular of a toy, at least for my age range. Like, by the time it got popular again, I was in high school, and during high school, I just, outside of Toy Story, I was not really collecting a lot of toys. But I do know that that is one freaking awesome toy piece of history right there, the USS flag, and it looked like it was complete in box, and it is a whopper of a toy. Like, holy crap, that thing was huge. I think that also was being held up by strings to make sure it wasn't going to topple over. And then on the other side, we get like a little bit of Harry Potter for some odd reason, and Halo, but then the rest of it is more G.I. Joe, more the 12-inch line of G.I. Joe. And of course we got your Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And Random Congo. And then this is the start of the Star Wars aisles, and that's plural because there's more than one aisle of Star Wars stuff, as we'll see. But before we went down there, something else caught my eye. And this little tiny stand right here was a bunch of Burger King toys and another Potato Head. This was one of the Potato Head Tots that released around 2022. And so, yeah, I had to pick them up because you don't see those in the wild. At least I haven't seen them in the wild. I don't remember seeing them in the stores. They were like little blind bag potato heads. You could swap out the pieces just like normal. I don't think the pieces were made to fit in with the other potato pieces. They were kind of made just for those line there. But still, you know, a potato head is a potato head. And then we start down the Star Wars aisles, and they had a lot of Star Wars. They had vintage Star Wars, they had new Star Wars, they had episode 1 through episode 9, and everything in between. And at one point, I did collect Star Wars, as I mentioned in last month's video at Toy Federation. There is just so much to collect to Star Wars that you have to, either you collect all of it and that's like the only thing you collect for the most part, or you just collect one specific line or one specific thing. Otherwise, you're just going to get so overwhelmed, or at least I get so overwhelmed when I try to get everything. So I've kind of been out of collecting Star Wars for a while now. Behind this glass case, they had some more of the more rare, more vintage items. They even had some Battlestar Galactica stuff there. And then they had this Stretch Serpent. I think he's part of like the Stretch Armstrong series. I'm not sure. That thing has been there forever, and I don't know if it would work still. I don't know if that stretches or if it has the stuff inside has solidified and it's now just a giant rock. More Star Wars. And more Star Wars. And not really Star Wars, but space themed. A Revel model kit of the International Space Station. Oh, but we're back to Star Wars. This is the Black Series, which I do occasionally collect. If anything, the Black Series is what I collect. And little miniature animals and Jurassic Park stuff. And then we get back to more of the hodgepodge stuff. So this shelf here is kind of like half Transformers, half horror themed, and then some random stuff thrown in between. But as you see further down, it just kind of goes straight into Transformers, and on the other side is more Transformers. And this was kind of cool. I think this was like pre-Transformers, like back when it was just a Bandai toy. Somebody in the comments correct me if I'm wrong. I probably am, because I only collected Transformers in middle school. So my knowledge goes from Armada to Energon, and that is it. And then we start getting into the superhero toys. I've got that Rocketeer figure. I've got that version, and I've got the 12-inch version. Rocketeer is one of my other favorite Disney movies of all time. Hey, by the way, if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe, because I do talk about movies that I like. And if you like hearing me talk about movies, especially Disney movies, definitely subscribe, because me and my wife do this series at the end of each month called Let's Talk About Movies We Own, where we talk about the over 1,200 movies we physically own. And actually at the end of this month, we're going to start talking about Disney movies. So definitely subscribe if you haven't. And I'm sorry, I'm talking about plugging stuff away. We've already passed through the DC stuff and the Marvel stuff. Neither of which I really collect, nor does my wife collect. So I kind of just passed kind of over this stuff there. I do have the Croft Superstar, so I do have that Cling Clang, and earlier we saw HR Puff stuff, but it's cool to see the other two figures in that collection, the Sigmund from the Sigmund and the Sea Monsters, and Electra from Electra and Dino Girl. I will be talking about those two figures, the HR Puff and stuff figures, in a couple months, so subscribe if you want to hear me talk about that. This area was just, again, even more hodgepodge, but it was like complete in box hodgepodge. So you saw Dragonheart, you saw G-Force, you saw the friggin' Babylon 5. There was a Van Helsing set there. We've got Man of Steel. We've got Spawn, whole bunch of Spawn. Steve Irwin, Watchmen, Land of Oz, Kiss. We even got Chicken Run. This is always cool. I've seen this pop up at like a few conventions. It's not a movie I collect for. And then right behind it was Neil Gaiman's Sandman, or like the DC Comics Sandman. I think Neil Gaiman wrote for it. Space 1999 is still a show I need to check out. I heard it's really good, and it's just kind of cool seeing all these figures for it. And Stargate. I really enjoy Stargate, and you don't see stuff like that. You don't see toys. You usually just see the Stargate figures. But that figure, right, that animal vehicle right there is just kind of a odd one out right there. And of course we got a bunch of Star Trek, including a Starfleet communicator, which I did try to press the buttons and it did work. There's some Stargate Atlantis there as well. Farscape. And then another section that I'm kind of starting to collect for is McDonald's. Not really just McDonald toys, but McDonald themed stuff. So like there's like, I want to say there's the how's it, Revel or Mego figures and some other stuff. Not so much the Happy Meals in general. There's just some specific Happy Meals that I collect for, but there wasn't anything right there at that time. Really anything Grimace related I collect. So he's my favorite character is Grimace. And then the Hamburglar comes in second, and then Fry Guys comes in a very close third. Oh, and the McNugget Buzzies. Yeah, they're up there. Alright, so they do have Lego. It's mostly new stuff from like, I want to say the past maybe 5-6 years. Nothing too old. However, in Newnan there's a Lego store, and we did visit there, and next month I'll show you it. So make sure to subscribe so you can see next month the Lego store that's here in Atlanta that sells a bunch of old retired Lego sets. And when I mean old retired, I'm not just talking about 80s and 90s. No. We got some 50s and 60s in there as well. There's the Teddy Rex. That's the case where I got a good bit of my Teddy Ruxpin figures that I've done a review on. So if you want to hear my review and thoughts on the Teddy Ruxpin series, check that out. This whole glass case, as well as the beam to the left right here, was almost all Ghostbuster stuff, both new and old. And I've never seen these figures right here. These were really nicely like select themed, fully articulated Ghostbuster figures. They were really cool. And then there was a Unicron in the box, just sitting there. That thing's huge. More Transformers. I think there were some GoBots in there as well. And we're back over to that little section where I found the Potato Head. They also had some other just kind of random stuff there. And then this is near the front of the store, near the checkout counter, where it's mostly like McDonald toys and stuff. And this Mightymax figure here. But I am, as I said, there's only a few select series that I'm collecting that are McDonald toys. Mainly it's the McNugget Buddies. Yeah, I searched there wasn't anything that I didn't already own or just didn't want or didn't collect for. They did have one, actually they had two McNugget Buddies. They had one from the line that just released last year, but it was one I already own. It's Uptown Mo. And then they had the mermaid one from I believe that's the 90s series. But as you'll see here in just a moment, it was not complete, so I didn't pick it up. I do have those Fry Guys. I just did a review of them last month. Or earlier. Yeah, last month. So check that out. I almost picked up that Fry Guy though, because it was like still in the package. But I passed on it this time. So I already have one. I don't need duplicates. At least right now I don't need duplicates. Yeah, so in this glass case here, you'll see there's the Uptown Mo, and then there's the half of a Mermaid McNugget Buddy. And we're back at the start. This is Monster High stuff. I'm back at those robots. However, there's still more of the store. So there's these glass cases on the side here. It was mostly DC and Marvel stuff with some other random toys thrown in. This is also where they had a lot more of the like Littlest Pet Shop and other small little figure stuff to collect for. So I think there's like Squinkies and LOL, Charlie Brown, Glowworm. Yep, there's Littlest Pet Shop. Peppa Pig. And as I said, on the side that had the Raggedy Andy stuff, on the other side had My Little Pony, Strawberry Shortcake, and they had a lot of Strawberry Shortcake stuff here. And then lower is the, I think it's Generation 1 My Little Pony, maybe some Generation 2. And then further on, we'd have some Generation 3. These Peanut figures are really cool. They're like almost fully articulated based off the early comic strips. And it looks like they had the whole set there. Going back, sorry, I glossed over the Strawberry Shortcake stuff and had to go back, show you some more. They had some books and paper doll stuff, and they had these whole stack of playing cards. We'll see here in a little bit. There they are. I don't collect it, but I do know people that do, so it's I always try to show off more of that. But after all of that, oh, there's race cars back here as well. But after all that, then there's this little hallway that you go through, and in the hallway is where you'll find board games. So you'll start off with some of the older board games, like Spill the Beans, Bargain Hunter, Connect 4, and then you go into the more like tabletop games, like Ticket to Ride and Catan. Up top, they had some cool toys as well, still in box. A lot of still in box stuff. Like these Teddy Ruxpin, those smaller things, those are his costumes. That is not the Teddy Ruxpin that you're thinking of. That's like a one that you like press a button and he just sings a song. And that Mr. Machine has been there for a while. I do plan on picking him up someday, just not today, because I really do want a Mr. Machine. I haven't checked and see how well hey, look, more Mork and Minnie. I haven't checked and see how well that one works. Like last year I did the Antique Mall and they had one, but he was in rough shape. I think he is still there because, man, he's just in the roughest shape. I don't think he works, or he barely works. This is more 50s and 60s stuff, and this is like the only little area outside the Star Wars section where they have pop vinyls. I was tempted to get those two McDonald ones. I have those already, but I was tempted to get Officer Mac and Mayor McCheese because I don't have those two. But there was more stuff to look at. So yeah, after you pass the hallway, then you get into the video game section. There's also vinyls. I believe this is also where they have some of the older comic books. And this is a really well-stocked store for video games, including Nintendo Powers. They had a lot of Nintendo Powers there. For about the same price, if not cheaper, than what I saw and what I showed you guys when I was back at the the Game Exchange back in Greenville back in July. And there was a couple that I already owned. I will probably come back here quite a few more times because I saw so many of those that I wanted, but my basket was already starting to get full. Especially they had a bunch of they had like that front one is like introduction or like the teaser to the N64 and the games that we're gonna see, previews of Super Mario 64 and Pilot Wings and stuff. I was like, ooh, it was $15, which is not bad, and it came with the poster. I'm like, oh man, did they have Hatris? And the answer is no, they did not have Hatris, not Tetris, Hatris. That is the one NES game that I'm always looking out for, and it's just nobody has it. I mean, people do have it. I want to find it in person. I don't want to buy it off eBay. Or I want to try to buy it in person. And this is where you're going to see like more Pokemon and video game themed toys is back here as well. And speaking of inbox stuff, they had a lot of consoles, like complete inbox, still inbox, probably unopened or had rarely ever been used. We'll see here in just a minute. They had an Atari Lynx, Commodore 64, and that sewing machine that connects up to your Game Boy Color. Yes, that's right. They had one of those. I've only seen those in YouTube videos until I went to this store this one time, and I'm like, lo and behold, there it was. Even my wife was confused because she never heard of it. I was like, yep, that is a sewing machine that's meant to hook up to your Game Boy Color. They had a good bit of, as I said, they have a good bit of video games here too. And video game themed toys. Yep. So there's the Singer sewing machine. There's Atari Jaguar. There's some ColecoVision add-ons. There's Commodore 64. And there's the Atari Lynx. All in box. And part of a Virtual Boy. In the glass cases where they consider more their rare games and like the consoles are behind, I've even checked back here. No Hatris. No Hatris. But it was cool seeing some of these games that you don't normally come upon, especially ones still in the box. Not that I need one in the box, but it was cool. Cobra Triangle is a fun game. There's their game. Their more rare GameCube games, including Lost Kingdom, which that is on my list to get. Most of those I already own, but Lost Kingdom 1 and 2 are still ones I need to pick up eventually. The Game Boy and Game Boy Color selection there. More Game Boys. Game Boy Advance games, Virtual Boy games. And then we get into PS1, PS2. For PS1, the main one, or I guess main two I'm looking out for, is Skull Monkeys and Muppet Monsters. They didn't have either one of those because they are kind of rare games. I get it. And I wasn't looking very closely in the glass case. They might have had them there. I will be honest, I don't know why the Nintendo characters are hanging out in the PlayStation area. Everything seemed pretty good with being where it needed to be, but those Nintendo characters in front of the PS1 games was kind of weird. Yeah, here's the not as rare GameCube games. Again, most of which I own or do not need. PS3 and PS2 right after that. Not Lego, I'm sorry. Star Wars Pod Racing 2 is the PS2 game I'm really looking out for. They didn't have it, unfortunately. Again, it's one of those games it's not rare, it's just nobody ever really carries it. And I would like to try to get that one in person if all possible. They had a lot of Star Wars Battlefront though. And over around here, we've got some Nintendo memorabilia, including some like pre-order bonuses. So they had the pin set from Super Mario RPG that came out last year, and I think those are Splatoon 3 sunglasses. Both of those were, I think, items that were given to you from GameStop if you pre-ordered and picked up the game from GameStop. I do like Super Mario RPG, but I don't need the pins. And then there were some Wii's. One was missing the game, one was complete in box. I'm just like, whew, that takes me back. And of course, the last section was the Wii section. Again, a good selection of games, most of which I own. There is like a handful of ones I'm still looking out for, but they just didn't have it. I was pulling that one out because I have it on the PC. I'm like, do I want it on the Wii? And I'm like, it's probably better as a PC game. But that was it for my visit to Full Circle Toys in Newnan, Georgia. So, what did I get? Well, of course, I did get that Mr. Potato Head Woody, and I got the one that looked like it was the most complete, and actually it was complete and a little bit more. So the chaps that you saw in the video, those did not go to Woody. Those actually go to Jesse. So Jesse never got a box Potato Head. Jesse's pieces were like one of those parts and pieces selection that you could pick up at the time. They were like $6-10. And so I now have a little bit of the Jesse Woody, but now I do have, or the Jesse Potato Head, but I do have now a complete Woody Potato Head from the Toy Story 3 line of the Potato Heads. Then I got that little Potato Head Tots. It was the ice cream one, and this was like 2022 when these released. There were blind bags. There was, I believe, 3, maybe 4 series, each one a different subject. So there was a Christmas one, I think 2 food ones, and a Halloween one. And then I was only just going to get those 2 things, but then my wife talked me into getting the Buster from Buzz Lightyear's Star Command, because she too realized that you just don't run across those toys that often, and it was a really good price, even though I think it was missing a couple pieces, but for what it was still really cool. So I did get that. And then, as I was checking out, I told the person checking out that I collect potato heads, because she saw that I was getting mostly potato head stuff. And earlier when I was recording, she did come up to me and ask if I was looking for anything in particular, and she did, and I did say I was looking for potato heads. So after I checked out, I went to the restroom, and while I was in the restroom, she found the person that checked us out found another potato head toy. This is from the Burger King line from 1998, and she gave that to my wife to give to me for free. So I have to thank, sorry I did not get your name, but thank you for the potato head toy. My wife told me when I was in the car, she's like, I don't know if you have this one, so I didn't want to say no. And I was like, actually, I don't have that one. The Burger King potato heads is kind of one of the ones that, like, you come across a couple of them, but you never come across all of them, so I'm still looking out for some of them. And that was my haul, and I gotta say, I absolutely enjoyed this store. I've gone to the store a couple times, and I highly recommend checking the store out. If you saw anything in the store that interested you, go and check them out. They are in Newnan, Georgia, for Full Circle Toys. And I said next month I'll be visiting the Lego store that I also visited during that trip. And if you want to hear me talk about more Potato Head stuff, more Disney stuff, more McDonald's stuff, definitely subscribe for future videos. And until next time, thank you and have a good day. Bye bye.